Well, let's go to Scott. You're going to tell us about some research into
Sure.
atheism or something. What's going on there?
Absolutely. This article was suggested by a Discord community member, Atheist Amy. So we thank you, Atheist Amy, for the suggestion here.
Woohoo!
This was from newswise.com, and it wasn't, there was no author attributed other than Queen's University Belfast. And so I'm assuming that it might be a press release and not necessarily an article. That didn't really say, though. But the title was Researchers to Explore Why Atheism is Growing Across the World. And I think the first two sentences of that release give a great summary. So here they are. An interdisciplinary team of researchers led by Queen's University Belfast have launched a new project called Explaining Atheism to test popular and academic theories about why some people are atheists and why some are not. Explaining Atheism aims to better understand the growing population of atheists and agnostics in the world, correct inaccurate stereotypes, that's important, and give insight into the future of both belief and non-belief. And so they have this, they're going to be gathering data from 6 different countries, including the United States, and they're going to examine what is the quote unquote cause of atheism. And they were also, I thought this was interesting too. They're also going to be outsourcing some of their research by funding these affiliate researchers. And so they're hoping to add an additional 13 countries to their collection of data. And so neither the article nor the website, which was explainingatheism.org, specifically said when the project was due to begin, but I got the impression from the article that it was either underway already or beginning soon. Yeah. So Kelley, what's on your mind there? What do you think about this?
Oh, I wish I had something on my mind. I don't have a mind to put anything on. I do really appreciate that this study's being done, though. I mean, one thing we can't deny is that there is a growing body of atheists and agnostics around the world. And if that's where we all want our human society to go to in the future, if a study like this can teach us what areas that we need to concentrate on to draw more people to our cause so that we can further that goal. And I'm curious myself as to whether some of the things that I believe are causing atheism are true or not. Is it hypocrisy in the church? Is it a rising scientific community that gives us more and better answers to the world around us? Is it the church overstepping societal boundaries that are adapting to a freer, more versatile society? Is it the scandals that many churches have found themselves a part of, both financial and sexual? And so is it what area should we be concentrating on in an effort to reach more people, right? Is it any of these things? Is it something else? So I'm really happy that this study's being done because I'm really interested in what's going to come of it and the information that we're going to get out of it. I'm actually really excited about this. So I bet you Neil has a bunch of thoughts about it though. So Neil, what do you think?
Yeah, well, first of all, the study being called "Explaining Atheism" triggered me right away because it's like, why? What are you explaining?
Right.
Atheism is basically, I don't believe in gods. That's it. That's all it is, right? Everything else is something else. But when they say, "Oh, you're an atheist," they go, "Well, how come?" Because I don't believe in God, or any gods for that matter. They could call it like explaining the rise of atheism, because that's technically what they're talking about, right? So, and saying something like explaining atheism is like you're creating all these myths about what atheists are, and I think that can be it's ridiculous, and B, it can be dangerous too. So we just want to know what's driving people to non-belief. Like, what are they seeing? What are they hearing that's making them start to rethink what they were indoctrinated into? So, I mean, I talk to people all the time on my show who finally something like that happens to them, and they start to have these doubts, and they start questioning. And when you have those questions, don't stop questioning. Look for the answers, right? And was it Dr. Lois Lee? They were talking about in there. It's important to make it feel like something you'll want to learn about, and it definitely helps in normalizing atheism as well. So when people have this information out there that they can peruse, then that helps to normalize being a non-believer. And I think there's already enough bullshit mythology about who we are as people that gets tacked onto our non-belief in deities, that can make it even dangerous for us to be out in public sometimes. I mean, in some countries, apostates are murdered. So, we don't, just because we don't believe in something doesn't give you the right to cut off my head or whatever. So it's
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the end, because this is a study that's just starting, right? So it's after 3 years they're going to have lots of results, and I'm really excited to hear some of the stuff that I found out about this study, for sure, because that's why I do my show, because I like to hear these things. I like to hear how people find their way free.
Yeah, and I think your point right there at the end was one of the things that really jumped out to me at first. A lot of times atheists and non-believers in general are really an afterthought on studies like this, if they're included at all. And I think where this will be helpful, at least this is my hope, is that exactly in those places you were talking about, Neil, those countries where people are not able to speak out about their atheism like we are, people that are jailed or beaten or killed simply for liking a post on Facebook. And this hopefully is a chance for people to look down and say, hey, hang on, wait a second. 100,000 people in my country said that they're atheists. Who the hell are these people, and how do I make a community with them? And because one of the things that I hear so often, and I know we all have, is just how many atheists and non-believers of all different stripes, we think we're the only one in our city or in our state, or at our work, or at our grocery store or whatever. And then we just feel so alone from it, and it's just so powerful to be able to reach out and know that there are other people close by to you that also are in the same camp as you. I will say I kind of giggled a little bit. Yeah, exactly. I kind of giggled a little bit when I was reading this the first time, and I had kind of a snarky thought, which was just, man, I could save this research team about £1.5 million. Just ask me, why is atheism spreading? Oh, there's no good arguments for theism. All right, you can send the check to P.O. Box. I just like, yeah, I mean, but this obviously is going to be a much broader and in-depth study, and I think it's going to be really, really helpful. Scott, where do you see this being helpful? Yeah, for sure. But yeah, Scott, any other thoughts on this? Do you see
Definitely.
this
Oh,
being good?
I can go on and on. And when I love it when I come on the show and I see that there's a study that I can sink my teeth into, and I like just to dive into it. And even sometimes I'll bring this information back to my class. I teach statistics, and so it's good to have interesting examples and so on. But so I did. I generally I came out of reading about this liking it. Okay, so I generally had a feeling of a positive feeling about what's happening here. But I did have a couple of concerns. One was that their major sponsor is the Templeton Foundation, which is a religious organization that often sponsors research. And I don't know if this is a stated goal of theirs, but I think it's based off of the type of research that they've supported in the past. I think we can conclude that at least one of their unspoken goals is to try to justify a God belief and to promote religion and specifically for that. However, that in itself doesn't necessarily mean that this research is going to be skewed or misrepresented, but it's worth noting. The second thing that I was concerned about, and this was a little more subtle, and Neil, you kind of touched on this a little bit before, but they used phrases like explain why some people are atheists or what causes atheism. And this one specifically stood out at me. It said, what might reduce religious belief? And so it's like they were making the implication that the default level was to have a certain level of religious belief, and then what could cause these people to lose this valuable thing that we all have. And so they're presenting atheism maybe it was intentional, maybe it wasn't, maybe it was just me misinterpreting the researchers. Although their English was fine, there are different nuances from people from different areas of the world, and so maybe I was just misunderstanding it. But the way they talk about atheism, it's kind of like somebody performing a study looking at what's stopping all of these baseballs in the closet from not flying around like the ones out in the field are flying around. What's causing them to stop? And so it's
Physics.
It's frustrating to see that kind of thing. And we're not born with God belief. It's something that we have to learn and something that's added to us after the fact. And so and again, this might just be I clearly obviously have a biased interpretation here, as all human beings do. And so so that might have been it. Kelley, what do you got? You got something coming up here, Kelley?
Yeah, I mean, you guys picked up on a few things there I didn't hear. I was being really excited about this, and I was hoping that these guys would do a study that didn't treat atheism with stereotypes. And yeah, I guess I didn't pick up on some of those subtle things there, and it's I'm kind of sorry I didn't, and I kind of feel like an idiot for not doing it. But I was really hoping that these guys would be aware.
It's a team effort.
There you go. See, and I was hoping that these guys wouldn't fall into those stereotypes and prejudices against the atheists. And now I'm not so sure that they're not going to. And I could see why they were doing this study for the same reasons, or actually the opposite reasons that I was just mentioning before. I would like to see the study done so we can find out where we need to concentrate to make more people deconstruct. And yet these people want to do it for just the opposite reason, to find out ways they can keep people from turning away from religion, right? And I think that's probably the motive of this study. But that doesn't mean we can't use it for our side as well. So, I mean, it's something I still definitely want to keep an eye on and see the results of.
For sure. Neil, any other thoughts
about
or
it.
concerns?
Well, one of the doctors mentioned that they're kind of excited to launch the Explaining Atheism website because they want to get, I guess, it's going to have stuff like short films and whatnot in it, and they're excited because they want to sort of have people find a way to get help with these, because they're difficult and, in their words, contentious questions, right? So. Which means, these are difficult things to talk about, as we all know, right? You never talk about religion and politics at the dinner table, I was always told, but I do anyways. But exploring
You're the wrong
the
place for that, I think.
yeah. Exploring these questions is important because people need to hear these things that are causing people to lose their beliefs, because a lot of folks out there are afraid to admit that they are. And I think hearing from other people how it's done or what caused them to stop, they might go, "Oh shit, I see a connection there." So it's okay. I'm not like a bad person because I'm losing my beliefs. Because let's face it, guys, we get painted with that brush. You have no morals, and screw you, buddy. But anyway,
and I think all of those points are exactly why I was so excited about this. I mean, anytime I see, a multinational, interdisciplinary, multi-million-dollar study, there's always that kind of part of me that just kind of tenses up a little bit, because I know there's going to be something, even if it's just like a single bullet point, that some jackass is going to, pull out of context and just splash it on every social media. And there's always something like that in studies this big and broad. But I think one thing that, and I know we've all touched on it, and I just think it's a really valuable message, is making sure that more and more people know simply being non-religious does not make you a bad person. It doesn't make you some pariah or all these horrible things that we've heard. Some of us do have horns, but that's actually like a medical thing. And anyway, the point is, I think there
Guys
is
coming to
so
my
much
baby queue next
value.
weekend.
Yeah. We'll be there. But I think there's so much value in continuing to remind people that atheists are normal. That just because you're not part of an organized religion, just because you don't have a belief in a deity or supernatural, that's really all that says about you. Everything else is still kind of just the same as everybody else, you know? And I think that's a really, really
Right.
valuable message. So I was happy about that. And it looks like they're really hitting a lot of countries. I mean, they're even going to be in Saudi Arabia and Lebanon, New Zealand,
Yeah.
Republic of Ireland. I mean, they are going across the board, and I think this is going to provide us with some really, really good data. Kelley, I really liked your thought about, you know, which sections do we need to focus more on, because maybe we're not doing so well,
Yeah.
or heck, maybe we're doing a really good job, and just keep pushing those. But Scott, I know there was some other things that you liked about this study.
Right. Yeah.
What was that?
Like I said, as soon as I saw this, I dove right in. I went to the website, the understanding, or the explaining atheism. And I even went to the website for their previous study called Understanding Unbelief. And there were some positive things here. Like I said, I came out of this reading, out of this experience, having a positive feeling. So hopefully I can give a couple of reasons to swing Kelley back to the optimistic side, pull him off from the dark side, and maybe give him some reason to look forward to this. The first thing that I liked about it was the way that they used the term atheist. If you look at some of the preliminary materials that they're putting out, they just they don't really say. They talk about atheists and agnostics. They talk about unbelief or not belief, that kind of thing. And so it wasn't really clear what they meant by the word atheist. And as we know, that can be kind of a stickler point. So, but I was able to find something on their previous study, and it was largely the same research group. The same group of researchers did this previous study called Understanding Unbelief, and the goal to that one was to get a good broad view of what's out there, of what kind of people are non-believers and so on. And in there, they had a document that defined their usage of the word atheism as, quote, the state of lacking faith or belief, especially religious faith or belief. And so what that tells me is that they're listening. Okay. So they're listening to us. We very often will see, this is what an atheist is. And if you say you're an atheist, this is what you are. And we're like, just listen to me. Okay. Just let me say what I feel. Let me say what I think. Let me say what I believe. And, so I'm glad. So it appears that their goal is to actually learn. And so not necessarily just set up some arguments or how are we going to knock these heathens down and stuff like that. So that was the first thing that I liked. The second thing was, after looking over the little information they had on their methodology, I really got the impression that they were putting effort into being very conscientious and open-minded. Those are a couple of things that I really like to stress in my statistics classes. I like to say we're going to be learning how to be conscientious statisticians. And so, as mentioned above, they also have an interdisciplinary team, and so they have people from a variety of different areas. And so, what that tells me is that they're going to have a variety of priorities. And so when they go to gather that data, it's very easy to skew the results based on how you answer the questions, how you choose your people, and so on. And so with a variety of people kind of trying to elbow their particular desires in, since they're coming at it from different disciplines, they're going to have different priorities. And so the balancing of those priorities kind of necessitates an even-handed approach. That, and while the primary researcher was religious, they're basing their inferential analysis on the work of a computer scientist by the name of Judea Pearl, who calls himself a quote practicing disbeliever. So it's not just a bunch of religious people trying to find out about atheists. It to me, at least this is the way the impression that I got. I'm assuming that once they get their research peer reviewed and get it released, and so there'll be a little bit more details. But it looks like they're looking at, like I said before, they're interested in understanding and interested in learning and taking a collaborative approach. And so, yes, there are some warning signs there, some red flags, but I'm rooting for them. I'm cautiously optimistic, and I'm looking forward to seeing the results that come out of their study.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same here.
Sure.
Same here. Kelley, you had.
And I like the fact that they're using interfaith people. Sorry.
Yes. No. That's a really good point. I completely agree. I think having that broad range of people behind it is going to be very valuable. Kelley, you had some final thoughts on this before we wrap up the show?
Oh, sure. And it's not really to do with the story, but it's to do with what you just mentioned, Secularity, about going out there and showing people that we're good people too, that we're just like you are. And Justin Looney, who is one of the wonderful volunteers that helps the ACA keep rolling, he helps with the emails. He was once on my show, and he had one of the best ideas I think I've ever heard that nobody has done yet. And that's setting up an organization of atheist ambassadors, people to go out and give talks to the community, to answer questions and to show that we are good people, that we are good, normal people. And I think that's an idea that's really come of age, and it's something that we really should make happen.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I wanted to say.
That
Just
is
wanted to share a
definitely-
really good idea that somebody shared
I
with me.
volunteer.
Yeah. We'll start laminating cards here before long, you guys. But yeah, I think that is a fantastic high note for us to end on, because again, I think all of us here, we feel pretty good about this, and we're hoping for some good results from it. And at the very least, I'm just going to speak for the three of you when I say this, but this was a really good time. I always have fun being on the show.